ggplot package. So for that, what the package that we are using is empty cars. So let's build basic plots first. So we are creating basic bar plots. For that, I am taking empty cars dataset and I am plotting cylinders here. So there is two types how to understand how to plot a bar plot. So first, if I directly tell the R to plot cylinders, let's see what happens. So it has plotted 32 cars different in different bars, so which is not correct. So for that, I am using table command here, and I want there are three types of cylinders, and you should plot 3 bars telling the number of counts here. Let's execute it. So you can see there are 3 types of cylinders, and the y-axis tells you the total count of the cars, such as 4-cylinder cars. There are total number of cars is 11. Then there are 7 cars which have 6 cylinders, and 14 cars that have 8 cylinders. So let's create ggplot now. For that, I'm using number of cylinders again. So we have already understood how to create the base of the graph. For that, the first layer is ggplot, and within the bracket we are first giving the dataset name, and then we are giving the x-axis. So in bar plots, as we know, we always create bar plots for categorical variables. They should not be continuous, they should be a category. So the x-axis will be the number of cylinders that we are plotting, and y-axis will be the count. So therefore we are not giving y here, because we know it should be the total number that we want to plot. So x-axis, that is the variable that I want to plot, it is cylinder. Then the geometry layer. So here the geometry layer is geom underscore bar. Like in scatterplot it was geom point, here it is geom bar. Let's execute it, and you can see the x-axis is of cylinder and y-axis is of count, and the bars have been plotted accordingly. Now I am adding color to my geom bars. So for that I am saying fill. So here the command changes. In scatterplot we used color, here we are saying fill, and there are two things. You can either say color, that is COL, or you can say fill. I'll show you both the functions. Fill will fill the colors inside the bar, and color will color the borders of this bar. So if you want to check that also, so let's first execute fill command, and you can see the bars have been colored as red. But if I say color, that is COL, so what happens is only the boundaries or the borders of the bars are colored in red, the inside is of gray color. So you should choose the function properly in order to make your bar looks better. Next, we are adding aesthetics layer to our graph. For that, I am saying whenever you want to add a dimension, you will be using aesthetics, as I have already told you. So here I am saying fill the colors according to number of cylinders. Let's execute it. So there are 4 types of cylinders. So there are 3 types of cylinders. So the 3 colors have been mentioned and have been filled inside the bars. So this one is for 4-cylinder cars. Then there is 6-cylinder cars and the 8-cylinder cars. Similarly, if you would have taken color, not the fill, what would have happened? The borders have been colored in different colors. The fill is same for each color, so it is not correct. So this fill is better. Next, if you want the height of bars to represent the values in the data, use stats equal to identity and map a value to the y aesthetics. So how will we do that? We'll go further in the next function. We are doing that. So next we are adding a number to each of the bar, telling the count of the cylinder. So how many cars are of 4 cylinders, that will be mentioned on this bar. So for that I am first using dplyr package for manipulation. So till here what we are doing is we are summarizing the function. For that I have grouped my empty cars data set as per cylinders, and I'm saying summarize it in the n variable, give the number of counts for each of the cylinders, and after that after using all this value that have been saved in the n variable and grouping it by cylinders, what we will do is we will plot the graph. So we are saying ggplot Then I have mentioned a dot here. So dot means all the values we have analyzed or summarized from this function that have to be used here. So after that, I'm giving aesthetics wherein x equal to cylinder and y is equal to n. So n is the count which have been calculated from the summarize function here, plus the geometric layer. So in geometric layer, I'm giving stats. So what does stat means? Stat will give you the statistics or the count of the number of cars. So for that, I am using identity as a function here. There are different kind of functions. You can question mark geom bar and you will get different stats. There is count, there is identity, and there is different kind of functions. So here, if you want a number to be mentioned, you will use identity here. Then aesthetics is fill according to cylinders. And also with geom text, that is the next layer, I am adding label as n here. So let's execute it. So you see the y-axis has been labeled as n and the x-axis is cylinder, and colors have been filled according to cylinders, and there is the stat count that has been added to each of the column, each of the bars. So there are 11 cars with 4 cylinders, then there are 7 cars with 6 cylinders and 14 cars with 8 cylinders. So this is how you can add a number of count to your graph. Next, what we are doing is we are adding a facet grid, that is the facet layer. So here I am adding gear versus AM. So what will happen is we will be dividing our graph that we have created, this graph, based on gear and automatic and manual transmission. Let's execute this command and see what happens. So the graph has been divided into 6 parts, wherein the columns that are 0 and 1, they are the AM, and these are the gears. 3, 4, 5 are the gears. So if you want to see this graph, if you are saying here, what we understand is there is one car which is of 4 cylinder and is of automatic transmission and 3 gears between between. So it is cylinders on the x-axis. So there are 4 cylinders. So there is one car with which is of automatic transmission having 3 gears and is of 4 cylinders, and so these all the variables that we have added to our graph right now. So there are 12 cars of 8 cylinders and 3 gears and is of automatic transmission. So if here if you want to see here, there are 6 cars of 4 cylinders and are of manual transmission with 4 gears. So you can see how many variables we have added to our graph. Let's go ahead. Now what we are doing is we are scaling the graph. So what does scaling means? The same graph you can see there is lot of space left in the graph. If we zoom it, you can see there is lot of space that has been left in the graph. So what we will do is we will utilize all the space in our graph by scaling our limits here. Each of the each of the pane will be rescaled and the graphs will be zoomed in, and the space will be utilized. For that, the function will be same. Just in facet grid layer, we say scales is equal to free and space is equal to free. So what will happen is all the empty spaces will be removed and graph will be zoomed in. Let's see what happens. Now you can see what happened is it has rescaled the graph and the spaces has been utilized better and the graph is zoomed in. So this is how you can change the limits of your graph also. So this is how bar plots are created, and if you want to create a basic bar plot like we have created earlier, this was the graph that we created. This was the basic graph. If you want to rotate, that it is the vertical graph. If you want to change it into horizontal graph, what you can do is you can add a coordinate flip here. So the command is coord underscore flip. You can see it is here. So what will happen is your graph will be in horizontal way. So here y-axis have become the cylinders, and x-axis are the counts. So this is how you can flip your axis also. This was the last graph that we created with adding different dimensions to our graph, wherein we added AM, gears, cylinder, and there was count on each of the bars.